Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience. So we're a few minutes late in starting this meeting. The in-camera meeting ran a little longer before it was concluded. So if I could call this meeting to order at this time, and if I can call on Father Larry to open the meeting with a prayer.
Thank you. Happily, Mr. Valentinus. As you know by the agenda, this is coming up for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Thursday, the 30th. So my prayer deals with that. It's excerpts from a longer prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. O God, Creator and Father of all, with humility, we, your children, acknowledge the relationship of all living things. For this, we thank you, and we praise you, and we worship you. We call on you, you who have given us a vision of one family under one God, to forgive us for the times that we have not honored our commitment to love one another as you love each and every one of us. We ask you to send the Holy Spirit to bless all the souls of the young who have died in the residential schools. May that same Holy Spirit bring blessing and healing to all families and communities affected in any way by these schools. O Creator, show us the way to healing, to forgiveness, and to reconciliation. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Larry. Moving on to the land acknowledgement. While it is a well-traveled land, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We are grateful to work, to learn, and to live in this area. And this is especially significant in this particular week. Recording of attendance, all trustees are present and are participating electronically. Moving on to the approval of the agenda, there's one amendment from the revised agenda distributed yesterday, and that is item 11C, which is Indigenous Education Advisory Committee minutes of the April 21st, 2021 meeting, will follow the presentation under 7B of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is September 30th. So I'll need a mover and a seconder.
Moved.
Back to that, right?
Moved.
Moved by Trustee Di Tommaso, support by Trustee Polifroni, that the September 28, 2021 revised regular board meeting agenda be approved as amended. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of interest pursuant to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Any disclosures of interest? None are noted. Thank you. That moves on to item number 7. And item number 7A is the virtual presentation of the recipients of the 2020-2021 Our Journey to Holiness and Catholic Leadership Awards and the Tim Halford Award. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chair Valentinus. Please join me in congratulating our 2021 award recipients presented this evening virtually. This time I'll turn it over to Stephen Fields.
This evening, we celebrate the recipients of our School Leadership, School System Achievement, Tim Halford Steward and Catholic Education Awards as well as our Directors Awards for Journey to Holiness for the 2020-2021 school year. Leadership. The first co-recipient of the Elementary Student Leadership Award is Adeline Mateus, a graduate of St. Joseph Catholic Elementary School who is now in grade 9 at St. Thomas of Villanova Catholic High School. She has been described by her supporters as persistent, kind, intelligent, hardworking, trustworthy, and most importantly, humble and receptive. During what became one of the most challenging years, Adeline's dedication and ability to learn under any circumstances stood out clearly. She took the switch to virtual learning in stride and continued to excel, viewing events not as negative, but rather as an opportunity to flourish and act as a role model for others in her class. She has a tremendous work ethic and displays sincere joy in the learning process. Besides achieving excellent academic success, she has been an active participant in many extracurricular activities, including sports teams, robotics, choir, and chess. She has also been instrumental over the years in assisting with canned food drives, the Orange Shirt Every Child Matters movement, the Terry Fox Run, Remembrance Day, and Stations of the Cross events. What is most impressive about Adeline is her sense of humility. She has been blessed with talents that she uses not in a self-serving way, but always to help others and contribute to the greater good. Though she has received many accolades and outstanding achievements, she is never boastful, but always striving to better herself and her community. She is the first to volunteer to lend a helping hand whenever and wherever needed, and is a good friend to all, demonstrating her very inclusive and accepting nature. Congratulations, Adeline. The other co-recipient of the Elementary Student Leadership Award is Gasson Albert. Gasson is currently in grade 9 at Catholic Central High School. He graduated from Immaculate Conception Catholic Elementary School. However, during his grade 8 year, he attended school online through the former St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Elementary Virtual School. According to one of the ELL teachers who nominated him, Gasson did not speak English when he arrived at Immaculate Conception, but was highly motivated and very eager to learn. He never gave up and always looked for opportunities outside of school to further practice what he had learned in class, and within a few short years, Gasson the newcomer became Gasson the leader. He became a mentor for his peers and would often take other newcomer students under his wing to offer assistance and show them the ways of Immaculate Conception. Academically, Gasson is described as an extremely hard-working and inquisitive student who takes pride in his academic success. He consistently demonstrates leadership in the classroom and is quick to help any student who has a question or needs assistance. His charismatic personality puts others at ease and encourages them to want to participate in class discussions and activities as well. According to one of his teachers, he has impressive goals for his future, and she believes he will succeed in reaching them. Congratulations, Gasson. The recipient of the Secondary Student Council Leadership Award is Noah Gascon. The former co-prime minister of Student Council at St. Anne Catholic High School, Noah demonstrated leadership throughout his time at the school, especially during the pandemic, by sharing many innovative ideas on how to build school spirit and continue to stay connected as students. He has also supported the needs in the community, volunteering with Good Shepherd Parish and the Bell River Goodfellows, as well as assisting residents locate vaccination clinics. He has helped raise funds for women and men's health, Stigma Enigma, Autism Ontario, Hotel du Grace Hospital Cardiac Wellness, and the Windsor Downtown Mission. His demeanor, positive attitude, and strong communication skills are hallmarks of his ability to lead a group of students. He is described as well-organized, well-researched, and well-spoken. He has been a voice in the community for inclusion and students' rights, and is courageous enough to always share his views with peers and adults. He is known for his quiet perseverance, intelligence, kindness, and stewardship, and possesses emotional intelligence that spurs ideas into action. He carries himself with integrity, loyalty, discipline, and understanding, and his zest for social justice, coupled with his service to others, inspires those around him to work collaboratively toward team goals. Noah is currently working towards a concurrent degree in political science and education at the University of Windsor and hopes to become a teacher. Congratulations, Noah, and good luck. The first co-recipient of the School Parent Council Leadership Award is Tamara Amiot. Tammy has been an active member of the school council at Sacred Heart Catholic Elementary School for the last 5 years. She dedicates an incredible amount of her free time to ensure the students at Sacred Heart have a memorable school experience and is always willing to help in any way she can. She is a familiar face in the hallways that students love to see. She continually builds up the students of Sacred Heart and ensures they feel validated and loved. In a traditional school year, you would find Tammy planning hot lunch days, distributing spiritware, volunteering as a parent council representative during kindergarten registration, or organizing a book fair. In fact, one of Tommy's nominators suggested that she missed her calling as a teacher after she planned math-based inquiry stations at the school book fair. Tammy has great ideas, and any task she takes on is done well and beyond. From fundraising, supporting school initiatives, and initiating and participating in engaging activities for the students, she has displayed an endless commitment to the betterment and advancement of student and parent engagement. She is the first person to volunteer for any task, including kiss and ride, book fairs, hot lunches, pancake day, fundraisers, and everything in between. Her dedication and genuine love for Sacred Heart is evident in all she does. Congratulations, Tammy, and thank you for everything you do. The other co-recipient of the School Parent Council Leadership Award is Lisa Best. Lisa has served on the Parent Council at St. Joseph's Catholic Elementary School for the last 13 years, ever since her oldest son was in junior kindergarten, and has spent the last 2 years as chair. Described by her supporters as passionate, committed, dedicated, motivated, courageous, approachable, and focused, she has helped to build a large source of positive parent volunteers and a dedicated parent council at St. Joe's. She leads by example, is always involved in each and every initiative, and is selflessly dedicated to the well-being of the school and its students. She is calm, professional, and poised, and leads with integrity. In fact, she has been described as the glue that holds the parent council together. During her time on council, she was extremely successful in planning and running events that yielded great results for St. Joe's to purchase more technology, physical education equipment, school uniforms, and so much more. Lisa's youngest son graduates next June, and this will be her final year on school council. Congratulations, Lisa, and thank you for everything you have done. The recipient of the Catholic School System Achievement Award is Jackie Jamil Lopez. Jackie retired from Holy Names Catholic School in June, where she was a life skills and physical education teacher, as well as a coach. She has been described by her supporters as a kind, caring, compassionate, committed educator. One of them described her as a dedicated colleague who loved the farm. She was always the first to arrive and the last to leave, constantly going out of her way to help others. For years, she has helped moderate teams, volunteered at prom, led fundraising initiatives, and generally helped out wherever necessary. Never one to wait to be asked, she was always the first to reach out and ask, "How can I help?" Jackie has a soft heart for students with special needs, and she pioneered a program called Best Buddies, which connected student leaders with life skills students. This program required collaboration with students, staff, and parents to foster opportunities for students to interact recreationally outside of school hours. These events included bowling, shopping at the mall, making crafts, and eating together during a pasta fundraiser, with proceeds going to the Life Skills program. A Christ-like example to all who come in contact with her, her positivity is contagious, and she integrates her faith into her teaching, coaching, and community service. She has shown in numerous ways over her teaching career the spirit of being a Catholic teacher, with her unending support for staff and students, her passion for being involved in the school, her kindness and empathy, along with strong moral values, holding our Catholic faith in her heart. Congratulations, Jackie. The recipient of the Tim Halford Steward in Catholic Education Award is David LeBeau. Currently the principal at F.J. Brennan Catholic High School, David was the principal at St. Joseph's Catholic High School last year when he was nominated for this award. He was described by his supporters as the rock of their school, and the staff there say they always felt appreciated, supported, and heard by David. A principal who exemplifies leadership qualities, he advocates passionately for our Catholic faith, has a huge heart, and is always ready to listen, and has a genuine Christ-like love for others. He has always put himself in others' shoes, and no task ever feels beneath him, as he always tries to do what is best for his school community. David lives out the board's vision of building communities of faith, hope, and service, working very closely with campus ministry and the school's family of parishes, ensuring liturgies are a priority in the school and actively participating in them, as well as implementing the school's pastoral improvement plan. A talented musician, Dave shares the joy of music with his community, whether playing as a soloist at board masses and liturgies or through his band. From charity events to wedding and school functions, he was always willing to give up any free time he has to give back to his community through music. When put in challenging circumstances, David is often known to ask, "What is the Christian thing to do?" And although school may be a place for academic learning, he has always reminded us that what brings us together as a Catholic school community is the celebration of our faith. Congratulations, David.
The Director's Award, Our Journey to Holiness, highlights our overall Catholic themes, virtues, and beliefs from junior kindergarten all the way through to grade 12. These awards are presented annually. The Director's Journey to Holiness Award for junior kindergarten to grade 3 students celebrates the values of goodness, kindness, belonging, gratitude, and faithfulness. The recipient of this year's award is Michaela Muwafa, who currently attends H.J. Lassaline Catholic Elementary School, but attended St. Isidore Virtual Elementary School last year. Michaela exemplifies goodness, kindness, gratitude, faithfulness, and a sense of belonging each and every day. Michaela came to Canada last year, and despite the shift to learning virtually, she continued to thrive in her schooling. She enjoys working with her peers, both to share what she knows and to learn from them. She demonstrates kindness by encouraging others when she sees they are struggling. Michaela shows great responsibility and initiative towards her academics, setting goals for herself and doing everything she can to achieve them. She demonstrates a strong sense of gratitude for God, her teachers, and for all the resources she is provided with to support her learning. She often prays to God on her own time through conversation and song. When another teacher requested a recording of a religious song for a video compilation, Michaela took the time to learn the song and sang from the heart, nurturing the theme of hope. Michaela is the deserving recipient of the 2020-2021 Journey to Holiness Award for goodness and kindness. Congratulations, Michaela. The Director's Journey to Holiness Award for grades 4 to 6 celebrates the values of compassion, respect, and knowledge. The recipient of this year's award is Dominic Nicodemo from St. Mary's French Immersion Catholic Elementary School. Dominic exemplifies the qualities of compassion, knowledge, and respect. Dominic's personality and sense of humor are infectious to those around him. Once you've met Dom, you know you've made a friend. Everyone enjoys being in his company, and his peers know that they can always rely on Dominic to listen and provide words of encouragement and hope. He is respectful and really knows how to brighten someone's day. Dominic is also a very responsible, dedicated young man. He is fair and honest, which makes him a great friend, and is also very thoughtful. Despite challenges, Dominic is always upbeat and displays a positive attitude. He is generous and enjoys donating toys to the playroom at the hospital, especially in time for Christmas. He likes to bring snacks to nurses to enjoy, but settled for giving them gift cards this past Christmas due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In his free time, Dominic loves being outdoors, and he can't wait to get back to playing and practicing with his travel soccer team. Dominic Nicodemo is the most deserving student who exemplifies the values of compassion, respect, and knowledge. Congratulations, Dominic. The Director's Journey to Holiness Award for grades 7 to 8 celebrates the values of wisdom and courage. The recipient of this year's award is Madeline Broderick, a grade 8 student at Our Lady of the Annunciation Catholic Elementary School. Madeline and her family are very involved in their local community, the school community, and their church community at Visitation Parish. The leadership from her family has guided Madeline on her path, where she has continued to grow in faith and service. One highlight from last year was the We Create Change initiative. A school with just over 100 students was able to fundraise enough money to buy 90 goats for a community in Haiti, and Madeline played a key role in organizing and promoting this school-wide initiative. Madeline has been an altar server at Visitation Parish and has led a Lenten challenge to collect money to support a village in Africa. The money collected not only went to provide clean water, but to provide equipment and education to the villagers about farming and sustainability. Madeline has shown that she is not only a hardworking student and a very knowledgeable thinker, but she also displays the virtue of wisdom. Madeline has been one of the primary caregivers to her 98-year-old grandmother during this pandemic and has been a leader in the class to ensure COVID-19 safety measures are being followed. It is wonderful to see her encouraging others to live their life like Jesus. Madeline is the well-deserving recipient of our Journey to Holiness Award for wisdom and courage. Congratulations, Madeline. The Director's Journey to Holiness Award for grades 9 and 10 celebrates the values of integrity and discipleship. The recipient of this year's award is Kenna Farron, who is now in grade 11 at St. Anne's Catholic High School. McKenna lives her life. She exemplifies the virtues of integrity and discipleship, never expecting recognition. She brings this to action in her everyday relationship with others and her participation with her school community. McKenna, as a grade 10 student at St. Anne High School, is dedicated to both student council and best buddies and has been an integral part of both of these groups since the fall of her grade 9 year. She shares many innovative ideas, but moreover ensures that they occur by assisting in facilitating their completion. McKenna was on the committee for the grade 8 night and continues to add community spirit to her school community. These activities have reached beyond the walls of St. Anne, as McKenna was involved in the Christmas Giving Tree campaign, student council fundraising for local charities, and most recently a sign campaign where signs of gratitude were created and distributed by student council to frontline organizations in the community. McKenna demonstrates discipleship in her everyday actions. She is caring and compassionate and has taken on a leadership role in the St. Anne's Best Buddies program, working with students with special needs. She interacts with a positive attitude and always with a smile on her face. Working with the teacher leaders, McKenna ensured Best Buddies continued this year, even in a virtual format. Her actions truly display the teachings of Christ, and she is the deserving recipient of this year's Our Journey to Holiness Award for integrity and discipleship. Congratulations, McKenna. The Director's Journey to Holiness Award for grades 11 and 12 celebrates the values of humility and justice. The recipient of this year's award is Krista Abdel-Sater from St. Anne Catholic High School. Krista is a kind and loving young lady who lives out the Christian values of humility and justice through her everyday interactions with her peers and adults. Krista and her family moved to Canada amidst a global pandemic. From her initial visit to St. Anne Catholic Secondary School, Krista expressed interest in being an active part of the school community. She is a patient and loving person who has reached out to connect with new students and build friendships throughout the year. Krista demonstrates a sense of justice in working towards several fundraisers this past year, including raising money for breast cancer awareness, men's health, Stigma Enigma, Windsor's downtown mission, autism awareness, and cardiac wellness. Moreover, Krista spearheaded a campaign working with Transition to Betterness called Bravery Beads. She was also instrumental in working with the Student Council to create gratitude signs for local frontline workers in the area. She is the first to volunteer and never expects thanks or accolades, as she is truly humble in her extraordinary actions. Krista's resilience in a challenging school year, coupled with her caring, genuine spirit, make her an excellent candidate for the Our Journey to Holiness Award for Humility and Justice. Congratulations, Krista. Congratulations to all of the recipients of the Director's Award for Our Journey to Holiness.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Stephen Fields, our communications director, for putting that wonderful, wonderful virtual tribute together. To Adelaide, to Gassan, to Noah, Tamara, Lisa, Jackie, David, Michaela, Dominic, Madeline, McKenna, and Krista. What a wonderful, wonderful group of role models. On behalf of the board, let me just say congratulations and thank you for being such excellent role models and just, inspirational individuals for the rest of the students. So congratulations to you, your families. Thank you once again. Okay, moving on, under presentations, the next presentation, Madam Chair, is dealing with the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is September 30th this week. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair Valentinus. At this time, I'd like to ask Superintendent Lofazo to begin this presentation with her team.
Thank you, Director Burney, and through you, Chair Valentinus. This evening, Darlene Marshall, our Indigenous Education Lead, and Daniela Coppicer, our Program Consultant, whose portfolio includes Indigenous education, will share some information with you regarding Orange Shirt Day, held September 30th on National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. They will also highlight a few initiatives taking place in our schools. At this time, I ask Darlene and Daniela to begin the presentation.
Are we good?
We're good, Dar.
Okay. Bonjour, Ani, Darlene Marshall, Nindishnakas, Mishika, Doda, Nanda, Caldwell First Nation, and Dinjibara. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It is my pleasure today to talk to you about National Day for Truth and Reconciliation at the Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board. Reconciliation is a shared responsibility of all Canadians and requires action not just on this day, but every day. September 30th, 2021 marks the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The day honors the survivors of residential schools, their families and communities, but especially those children who never returned home. Public commemoration of this painful history and ongoing impacts of residential schools are vital components to the reconciliation process. In an effort to increase awareness on our journey toward real truth and reconciliation, Indigenous Education Department of the Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board has distributed orange shirts to many of its staff and administration. So a little bit about the orange shirt. Orange Shirt Day is an Indigenous-led grassroots commemorative day that honors the children who survived Indian residential schools and remembers those who did not. This day relates to the experience of Phyllis Webstat, pictured on the right, from the Secwepemc First Nation of British Columbia. Phyllis shared her story with us, and on her first day of residential school, she arrived dressed in a new orange shirt. That shirt was soon taken from her, and it was replaced with a uniform. She never saw that shirt again, but remembers how proud she was of that shirt. That shirt, that orange shirt, is now a symbol of the continued impacts of residential school, the stripping away of culture, tradition, freedom, and self-esteem experienced by Indigenous children over many generations. We hope that the Board of Trustees have all received your orange shirts, and we would like to provide some context for you. The orange shirt you received is our way to commemorate the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The front logo of the shirt, the artwork, is entitled "Bring Our Children Home" and is reproduced with permission from Anishinaabe artist and educator Isaac Murdoch. On the t-shirt arm appears the new logo of the Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board's Indigenous Education, Mishika. The full color logo has yellow, red, black, and white sections in the configuration of the medicine wheel. Many Indigenous nations on Turtle Island have some form of medicine wheel in their teachings, but there is no single answer to its meaning. The Anishinaabe often referred to the medicine wheel as the circle of life, and it's to illustrate our connection to the earth, to each other, to ourselves, and especially to the Creator. If we look at the turtle's back as a calendar, we will see its pattern of 13 large scutes or sections of the shell, representing the 13 moons of each year. The 28 smaller scutes around the edge of the shell represent the 28 days in each lunar cycle. This convenient calendar was used to help Indigenous people track time, and each new moon has a specific meaning and purpose associated with it. These teachings demonstrate a strong connection to the natural world and the underlying concept that we are all related, that all things are connected.
I'll be sharing some of the ways that our board is recognizing National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. All staff and students are being encouraged to wear orange shirts as a symbol of remembrance, but also hope and reconciliation. Orange shirts with our new logo were gifted to all schools for administrators and our Indigenous education contact teachers. We now have contact teachers in all of our elementary and secondary schools who are dedicated allies in supporting staff with new learning and resources. This month, we also launched a new website for teachers with resources on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the calls to action in residential schools. It includes a virtual library of read-alouds, videos, and lesson plans, as well as professional learning resources for teachers. This week, we're also launching a video about what reconciliation means to us. It includes staff and student voices, including Darlene, our Indigenous education lead, Indigenous students, and one of our Indigenous education contact teachers. And our schools are honoring this week by engaging in respectful school activities, such as time to reflect and pray together, displays, and activities. As you can see in the photos, some of our secondary students put together displays about the true history and legacy of residential schools, and some of our younger learners are displaying orange shirts or hearts on windows or in gardens. And we are hosting a gathering for all central staff in the green space in front of the Catholic Education Center at 10:30 this Thursday. We will gather briefly to pray and reflect on some of the truths and history, and we would like to extend an invitation to all trustees to join us. Next slide, please. Your actions really are so important to understanding the truth and healing, so we wanted to share what you can do. First, wear orange, that symbol of remembrance and respect, in a way really to show and support and act in solidarity with Indigenous people and allies. Attend an event, in person or virtually. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation is hosting a week-long virtual event. Offer a land acknowledgement. This day is a good opportunity for us to think about our connection to the land and express gratitude and appreciation. A good first step would be to learn more deeply about our local history of the land that we live and work on. Listen to elders and survivor stories. We know that the truth must come before reconciliation. There are many opportunities online to read, watch, or listen to survivor stories. And learn. Research Mount Elgin Residential School. Learn the history of the closest residential school, which is only about 100 kilometers from our area.
Also, take time to read the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. It is important for us to understand, and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has already given us a guide to help us do that. Read Pope Benedict's apology, the 2009 apology. You could also learn facts about residential schools. You could also look at the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops and their most recent apology just this last weekend. Begin to build meaningful partnerships with Indigenous communities. And maybe that means looking up where our First and local First Nation is. Donate to organizations that support healing and education, the Indian Residential School Survivors, or the Orange Shirt Day Society. And most importantly, pray and have some time for quiet reflection. But no matter how you honor the survivors and victims of residential schools on September 30th, we encourage you to begin those difficult conversations with your peers, your family, and your friends. Only through education can we move forward toward true reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle and Darlene, for the wonderful presentation, and even more important, for reminding us of the Truth and Reconciliation Day coming up on Thursday, and how important that is to our history and will continue to be. So thank you very much, as I said, for your presentation, for the work that you do, not just in putting this day together, but throughout the year, and your work that you do in reminding the board of the importance of that. So thank you.
Welcome.
Trustees, any other comments on that? Perhaps we will after we do the 11C. Item 11C is the Indigenous Education Advisory Committee minutes of April 21st, 2021 meeting. I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for those minutes. Moved by Trustee Mastromatei, supported by Trustee Polifroni. That the board receive for information the minutes of the Indigenous Education Advisory Committee meeting of April 21st, 2021. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. I believe Vice Chair Soulier wanted to bring forth a motion or make some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment before I make my motion with regard to our Indigenous Education and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report. Just to thank Darlene and Daniela and Rosemary, our Indigenous lead consultant and our superintendent. The efforts on the part of these three women, as well as those who have come before them, have so deserve note. We have made so much progress in the last few years with regard to moving our system forward and in providing education for our students and for our staff. And it would not have happened had it not been for the tireless effort for this group of educators right here. So thank you to them for everything that they have done. Also a big thank you to our Indigenous Education Committee for everything that they do at our meetings. Again, an exceptional group of people that come together for the benefit of everyone in our community, and especially for our students in our schools. So a very big thank you for that. And I do want to move a motion this evening, in recognition of Truth and Reconciliation Day. I move that the board confirms its continued support of the ongoing efforts of staff throughout our system and of our Indigenous Education Advisory Committee to implement and meet the challenges of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. Specifically, that we support the continued development and advancement of those recommendations that relate to education of all of our students with regard to the richness of Indigenous culture, spiritual beliefs and practices, and history, including residential schools history, and those recommendations that address the implementation, promotion, and enforcement of anti-racism strategies as it relates to Indigenous students, families, and communities.
Thank you. That motion has been presented, has been moved. I'll require a seconder.
I'll second it, Domena.
Trustee Domena seconds it. Thank you. Comments, questions on the motion? Thank you. If not, then we'll call the vote on it. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Soulier, for bringing that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the Board of Trustees.
Thank you. We now move on to our item number 8 on the agenda, which is delegations. And we have a delegation, Delilah Liberty, a parent, to speak about the board's mask protocol as outlined in the Return to School guidelines. Mrs. Liberty?
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me tonight to speak at this meeting. So through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to raise some concerns I have with the mandated mask policy the school board has developed for children to combat COVID. I really want to know the long-term effects on our children. I've had a look at the health unit's recommendations that they had sent out to the school board. I failed to see any stats of data to support any of these recommendations. The health unit outlined in their safe return to school guide that their recommendations are based on other recommendations from reliable sources like the Missouri Policy Kids. The only safety information that I had seen on the return to guide higher protection, and that PPE was the least effective to stop transmission. So I followed through with the Ministry of Health, and right on their website, it says that face coverings will not stop you from getting COVID-19, and face coverings will not protect you from getting COVID-19. So I'm not sure what the Ministry of Health would have added to the health unit recommendations. So I visited Sick Kids Hospital, which they have stated they went to as well. And they state that if patients of any age are not able to wear masks safely, they won't have to. Masking for children depends on a lot of things, including age, ability, and willingness. They will mask patients aged 6 and older, but if your child is not able or willing, they will have to. Caregivers know their children best. I really tried to seek out any data on the safety of masking children and found one small one from Public Health Ontario, which is called What We Know So Far. Although half of the documents focused on compliance and trying to identify barriers for mask adherence, part of their linked studies did include brain discomfort impairments, including irritability, headache, difficulty breathing, less happy, impaired learning, deteriorated skin, and fungal infections. Although the conclusion of public health determined that further research is needed to assess potential negative impacts of mask wearing in children, especially for longer term. So I don't want to feel like these kids are being used as test subjects to see the effect of mask wearing. So I'm having a hard time with the information found from the above noted guides that how are we protecting them against COVID? And what are the longer term effects? So how do we come up with a policy just solely on recommendations, and how does the school board impose and enforce a mandate of medical intervention with absolutely no informed consent from parents? The health unit's Return to Safe Guide also asks the school board how you link students, staff, and families with the right resources to keep everyone informed with credible information. I'm just really hoping that parents will be sent some sort of information based off of credible information. As we know, every individual has their guaranteed right to exercise their own decisions based on their own informed consent under the common law. And Canadian law does not allow for implied consent. So, I mean, schools are not above the law. We know this, and especially not the Constitution. So I don't know how or what legislation regarding mask mandate policy arrives or supersedes this or any other laws, and why parents aren't able to make an informed consent of their child. I mean, I just highly recommend that everyone does their own research and maybe not regurgitate to them, because this is really about our children's long-term health. That's all I have to say. So thank you for everyone's time.
Thank you, Mrs. Liberty, for your presentation, and thank you for your patience, in waiting this evening. Trustees, do we have any questions for Mrs. Liberty, clarification or otherwise? Okay. Thank you. Once again, thank you for coming forward and bringing your concerns to the board. Item number 9 on the agenda is action items, and 9A is the minutes of the special regular board meeting of August 31st, 2021. I need a mover and a seconder for that.
I move, Heath.
Meta, support by Trustee Bouchard, that the minutes of the special regular board meeting of August 31st, 2021 be adopted as distributed and amended. Questions, comments? All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Item 9B are items from the Committee of the Whole Board and Camera meeting of September 14th, 2021, and the Special Committee of the Whole Board and Camera meeting of September 28th, held earlier this evening. Vice Chair Soulier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board convened a committee and special committee of the whole board in camera meetings on September 14th and September 28th, 2021, pursuant to the Education Act, Section 207, to consider specific personnel, pupils, security of the property of the board, real property, and other matters permitted or required to be kept private and confidential under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Items from the September 14th, 2021 Committee of the Whole Board in camera meeting. The first item, I move that the board approve the recommendation exempt from access under security of the property of the board, item 10A.
I'll need a seconder for that. Trustee Dumena supports, seconds that. Thank you. Questions, comments? Is there all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries.
And my second motion, I move that the board approve the recommendation exempt from access under security of the property of the board, item 10B.
I'll need a seconder for that motion.
I second, Heath.
Trustee Heath, thank you. Questions, comments? All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries.
And there are no items coming out of this evening's in-camera meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Soulier. Item number 10 on the agenda is the communications. There are no external communications. So we move on to the reports from administration. And 10B1 is a report for the summer learning program and summer reading program for 2021. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair Valentinez. At this time, I'd like to ask Superintendent Tawil and Executive Superintendent Farron to present.
Excuse me, can I first have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'm sorry?
A mover and a seconder for the report.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Vice Chair Soulier, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Marshall, for keeping us in line here. Questions, comments? Support? And that carries. So Superintendent Farron, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Director, and through you, Chair Valentinez.
Oh.
I'm going to get us started with our summer learning program.
Thank you, Superintendent Tawil. Thank you.
This year, our summer learning program was offered to students in grades 2 and 3 and students in grades 7 and 8. The program ran for 3 weeks from July 5th to the 23rd with 3 hours of instruction a day. This is the second year the program has been virtual for our students. And to support this virtual format, each student received a tote bag full of math manipulatives, hard copies of stories, and a variety of materials to support the curriculum for the 3-week program. Our summer learning team consisted of 20 classroom teachers, 10 learning support service teachers, 5 English as a second language teachers, 3 child and youth workers, and 3 settlement workers in schools. We also had our program staff led by Ginny Reichman, who helped to plan and prepare for our very structured and academic virtual summer learning program. Our grade 2-3 Minds On Learning Academy consisted of 7 virtual classrooms with students from 18 schools across our board. Schools that were new to the grade 2-3 program this year were St. John Vianney, Holy Name, Stella Maris, Notre Dame, St. Pius, and St. Isidore. We had a total of 134 grade 2 and 3 students that participated. Our grade 7 and 8 Innovative Minds program consisted of 4 virtual classrooms with students from 14 schools across our board. Schools that were new to the grade 7 and 8 program this year were Notre Dame, St. John Vianney, St. Pius, and Holy Name. We had a total of 74 grade 7 and 8 students that participated. Every classroom was supported by 3 teachers and a child and youth worker. All students in the program completed pre and post assessments. Teachers used this initial data to guide instruction and form targeted small group instruction within classes. The post-assessment data showed an increase in understanding of number as it pertains to place value and proportional reasoning. Data also showed an increase of understanding of the main idea of a text. The grade 2-3 program supported students in both literacy and numeracy. Learning goals and detailed lesson plans were provided to each teacher to ensure precision in teaching. The focus in reading was to help students identify the main idea and supporting details of a text. The focus on writing was to generate, gather, and organize ideas and information for intended purposes. The 3-teacher model allowed for intensive support in both guided reading and guided writing. In addition to the literacy block of the grade 2-3 program, there was a 60-minute math block. Plans followed a balanced math approach with purposeful and intentional problem solving and small group instruction. The focus of our grade 7 and 8 program was on math. Learning goals and detailed lesson plans were designed to complement the new de-streamed grade 9 math curriculum. Throughout the math clock, we included a real-world focus on math in which students were engaged in math conversations. Carefully chosen problem-solving tasks and experiences were used to introduce, clarify, and apply concepts and skills. Both our grade 2-3 and grade 7-8 programs had child and youth workers that were facilitating a 25-minute group tutoring session. Topics that were covered included confidence, taking action, understanding emotion, goal setting, persistence, mindfulness, and gratefulness. This year, we partnered with United Way again, which allowed us to provide every grade 7 and 8 in the program with a backpack filled with school supplies. We also partnered with the Ontario Student Nutrition Program, which allowed us to give a $50 grocery card to all student participants in our summer programs. Each year, we include family engagement sessions. All engagement sessions had a high participation rate, and feedback from families showed that they truly enjoyed participating in their child's learning. Throughout the program, we collected feedback from parents, students, and teachers. The feedback we received was very positive. You can see some of the quotes up there on the screen. Many parents commented on the engaging activities and the dedicated staff who made this experience a positive one for their child. Some of our next steps include using the pre and post assessment data to guide our board math strategy plan. We would also like to continue to increase the number of English language learners in our summer learning programs. And as in previous years, we will continue to explore opportunities to expand the summer learning program moving forward. So this concludes the summer learning portion of this presentation. I'm now going to pass it on to Executive Superintendent Farrand, who will be speaking to our summer reading program.
Thank you, Superintendent Tawil. So this year, the Ministry of Education provided funding to offer evidence-based summer reading intervention programs to struggling readers. So we utilize these funds to offer 2 programs, one at the elementary level, specifically with grade 1 students, and a secondary program for those students in our life skills classes, locally developed, applied, and workplace pathways. Our programs consisted of 16 grade 1 classes and 4 secondary classes. And class sizes were very small, consisting of only 6 to 10 students in each. We invited grade 1 students from each of our elementary schools, as well as secondary students from every one of our 8 secondary schools to participate in the 3-week program. The program ran for 1 hour each day and were supported by teachers, child and youth workers, focus on youth students, educational assistants, and of course, we also relied on the support of a settlement worker to provide translation services and guidance to our English language learners and their families. The summer reading teachers were creative in making each day of the program engaging for students and well-planned guided reading lessons, engaging wellness activities provided by our child and youth workers and focus on youth students, and also theme days throughout the week, such as Crazy Hair Day, Hat Day, or Jersey Day. Our students utilize an adaptive reading software program called Lexia. So Lexia Core 5 was utilized by our elementary students, and our secondary students used a combination of both Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up, depending on their needs. Lexia provides a systematic and structured approach to teaching phonological awareness, phonics, structural analysis, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. While students interacted with the online adaptive program, real-time student data was captured, allowing teachers to make informed instructional decisions for their students. Teacher feedback provided us with insight into how Lexia supported their instruction, but more importantly, how it impacted student learning and achievement. Through regular use and timely intervention from teachers, all students in the program made reading gains. Our Lexia license agreement allowed students to use the program outside of program hours and throughout the summer months. Guided reading was a very important component of the program, and guided reading lessons took place every day. Our curriculum team, led by Michelle Yvonne and Daniela Coppicer, provided the summer reading teachers with detailed lessons and digital resources to assist in their planning. Child and youth workers incorporated valuable social emotional learning into both the elementary and secondary programs. Topics such as confidence building, understanding emotions, and persistence were explored. Over the course of the program, student learning was captured through Lexia data, anecdotal notes, and teacher support and staff feedback. This information has been shared with principals to assist with support and programming for students as they return to school. In addition to the obvious benefits to student learning, these programs also have offered educators the opportunity to refine their teaching practice, to explore new digital resources, and to collaborate with one another. In closing, we are thrilled to have been able to provide engaging programs that have improved students' confidence as readers and have positively impacted their reading skills, and we look forward to their continued success. That concludes our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions regarding the summer learning program or the summer reading program?
I have a question, Trustee Valentinas.
Please, Trustee Domena.
For the summer learning program, was that open to all students that may have wanted to join, or was it geared to the person that needed the extra help?
Trustee Domena, through you, Chair Valentinas, Executive Superintendent Farron, please.
Yes, thank you for the question, Trustee Domena, and through you, Chair Valentinas. With both of our programs, the Summer Learning Program and the Summer Reading Program, we ask our principals to identify students who may benefit from additional support. So traditionally, it's been those students who are struggling in an area, and with that extra support, we're confident they will be successful following in the fall. So we ask for recommendations from our principals.
Thank you for that response. Also, I really enjoyed your PowerPoint presentation. It was very eye-appealing and really interesting, and I really commend you for that.
Thank you. I will share that with the team.
Any other questions, trustees?
Not a question, Chair. Just a comment. Yeah. Every fall when we hear these presentations, I'm so impressed by what our staff puts into summer. The rest of us are on vacation, and you are so dedicated to our students. And these programs you've put on this past summer and years past are just amazing. And I'm sure that parents are just so excited to looking forward to what's going to happen next summer. What are we going to be offering our young people? And it's amazing. Every fall we see this presentation, and it's very impressive. Thank you.
Very well stated, Trustee Heath. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Executive Superintendent Farron, Superintendent DeWilt, thank you very much for tonight's presentation and for the work in putting this program together and overlooking it. Thank you. Moving on to 10B2 is summer school for 2021. I'll need a mover and a seconder regarding the report. Moved by
Polifroni.
Trustee Polifroni moves it, supported by
Trustee Heath.
Trustee Heath, thank you. That the board receive the summer 2021 report as information. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chair Valentinas. At this time, I'll ask Executive Superintendent John Ulichny to present, please.
Thank you, Director Burney, and through you, Chair Valentinas. I know that your following report is the Focus on Youth report, and I will be presenting the summer school report and the Focus on Youth report together. I know that procedurally you will have to make another motion to accept the Focus on Youth report. But if there are any questions regarding either of those two reports, I'd be happy to answer them at the conclusion of the presentation. And I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen with everyone at this time. I think we should be good, and I'd like to begin. So, Trustee Heath, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you made your final comments regarding our previous presentation on summer learning and our summer reading program. These programs that we run in the summer, parents do look forward to, and certainly summer school, I think the stigma of the past has gone away, and they are informative, they're intuitive programs, and they lead students to further their academic dreams and their success. And so today I present the summer school report for 2021, and as I indicated, it does have some of the focus on youth numbers in this report. Our summer school administrative team is led by our principal of St. Michael's Adult Catholic High School, Douglas Sadler, who oversees also our continuing education program and is our principal of information technology. Our summer school principal, this is the individual that runs the program on the ground with the staff. This past year was Ryan Korstein. Ryan is the current vice principal at St. Thomas of Villanova Catholic Secondary School, and this is the second year that he has been the lead for our summer school program. This past year, we were very fortunate to be able to offer full credit e-learning courses. Our program also included credit recovery, cooperative education, adult learning, including English as a second language instruction for adults. And as in years past, we expanded upon our reach ahead opportunities for our grade 8 students that are within us and our own board to take courses this summer and get their first high school credit out of the way. Teachers provided these programs in innovative asynchronous and synchronous modes of delivery, and we were able to open up our program to other boards as well, and to students within those boards that wanted to take advantage of earning credits that we might be offering that their boards were not. When you look at our summer learning program for course selection, we had 790 students enrolled in our e-learning program that was predominantly asynchronous in nature, although we did have special synchronous blocks built into the math and science programs that we offered. Our reach ahead, this is our past grade 8 students that were coming into grade 9 this year. There were 375 students that were enrolled in our reach ahead program. They were able to take credits in career civics, introduction to business, also history we had this year, and new this year was general learning strategies course, which really focused on students that perhaps were looking at trying to expand their technology grasp. So we focused on that particular course on learning strategies and how they would interrelate with the Google platform and also the Brightspace or the D2L platform. We had 70 students participate in our English as a second language, and that's including the adult level learners in that particular program. 61 students took part in credit recovery this past school year. And credit recovery is an area that we know that we had to look at in summer school. It was part of our intervention strategies and part of what the student achievement team has looked at over the course of the last year to try to close the gaps that the pandemic has created. And 59 students took part in cooperative education. All of that adds up to a whopping 1,385 students that participated in credit-bearing summer programs. Not on this particular sheet here. We did have a non-credit-bearing class that had 32 participants, and that was a class for students that were new to Canada, that were just looking to acquire English language skills, and so it was very, very well received. At the bottom of this particular slide, you'll see that we had 47 students participate in our Focus on Youth program. Many of these students supported the summer learning programs and the summer reading programs that we've seen just presented previously. We had 31 of those students supporting our summer school programming as peer tutors, and 8 students supported our OFIP tutoring program, which took place the last 6 weeks of the school year. And this year we were able to bring back our support for our autism services program. We had 2 locations for that were in person in the summer. This was our only real in-person venue for summer school. and those were at Holy Name Catholic Elementary and St. Rose Catholic Elementary to service our students with special education needs. In total, our focus on youth students participated in servicing and helping over 250 students in specialized summer programs, some of which you just recently seen in the previous presentation. When we look at our overall success rate and our overall retention rate is extremely high, and we're very proud of the fact that in the end we ended up with 1,385 students, and of those 1,385 students, 97% of them were successful. So if we do some quick math on that, that's 1,343 student credits that were attained in summer school this year. Summer school requires a lot of preparation and planning. It begins in earnest in January and accelerates right through the spring for summer school. This year, all summer school courses were offered virtually with the exception of the student placements for cooperative education. The registration system that we created was fully online and on our dedicated summer school site. And to ensure that students were clear on the course delivery and overall expectations, we added a new student planning guide to our summer school site so that students and parents could make informed decisions. And our student planning guide included descriptions for students, and it also had all the reach ahead information. We also did email all the reach ahead information out to our grade 8 students and their families and to their schools to share with their parents as well in order to attract increased attendance and increased attendance, particularly for those that were looking to get their first credit. As I indicated in my earlier comments, math and science we put a little twist on. The majority of our e-learning classes in summer school were asynchronous in nature, although we had some synchronous office hours that they could touch base with their teacher built into each day. But for math and science, we added mandatory blocks of synchronous time on a daily basis. And this is because we learned from our experience last year that math and science is really hard for students to do in an asynchronous manner. So this really led to greater success. And if you look at this, what we have articulated in this slide, our overall math and science success rate was 99% this school year. And they were some difficult courses: 3U, 4U biology, 3U physics, 4U physics, and we had the grade 10 applied mathematics that we took place in summer school. Behind the scenes, with respect to the numbers, we had 71 teacher applicants. We actually ended up hiring 47 teachers and 7 support teachers, and we were able to use some of the shared funding that we were provided by the ministry from Executive Superintendent Farron's pot of money. We had 31 focus on youth students employed as peer tutors, as I articulated, and we also made sure that we were able to engage and support our ESL students and their families. So we had 4 summer support workers. Those are our Swiss workers in our schools that provided interpretation and acted as a school to home liaison for these particular students. I think one of the strengths of the Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board is that we always work together to meet the needs of our students. So as I indicated, our special education and mental health supports we put in place with the funding that Executive Superintendent Farron had received. We used our focus on youth money to support our summer school program, as well as our summer learning program and our summer reading programs. We really wanted to continue to expand upon our Reach Ahead program to give our current grade 8 students an opportunity to get that first high school credit. And as you've seen, 375 students took advantage of that. We always work together as a student achievement team for what's best with the students. We focus on student well-being, including the overall mental health and well-being. And that has been at the forefront since the pandemic started, but it's always been a historical way that we've conducted business in the student achievement division. When we look at how we were able to support our staff, Principal Corstein created a new staff resource this year. This is using Google Classroom for staff. It was an easy one-stop location for staff to locate all of their teaching resources. It was very, very well received by the staff. It had everything in there for them to be able to access, and it was a great example of modeling organized information dissemination. Some of the highlights from summer school: our student success rate, our student retention rate, our integration of the Google platform and Brightspace for our Reach Ahead students. We were able to add that new GLS class. We also dabbled with history this year for our Reach Ahead students. We had great collaboration between staff through the sharing of best practices. We had collaboration of support staff with students and parents. All of our peer tutors developed excellent leadership skills. We had those mental health support intake referrals using our Google Forms, so we were able to make referrals directly to our mental health team, and they were there to support our students throughout the summer. We were able to hire a technology-enabled learning teacher to assist staff and students in navigating both the Brightspace and the Google platforms. And we added a guidance counselor to assist with our out-of-board student credit counseling and scheduling, as that was an important piece in attracting students from other boards. Finally, what the students had to say with respect to summer school. They really enjoyed the different modes of delivery and methods of delivery that the teachers incorporated into their lessons. They liked the announcement feeds for most, but voice recording was very high up there in Google Meets as well. And when you look at their overall experience, 50.7% that they'd say they'd take another e-learning course. 41.4% said that they may take one. But when you compare that to the overall success rate, I think that if push came to shove and virtual was the only way that we had to go again and e-learning was the only opportunity, we would have similar numbers moving forward in 2022. So the students really enjoyed the synchronous Google Meets, the compressed nature of summer school, the variety and the format of assignments, and the flexibility of summer school through their experience. Finally, when we look at some of the different creative ways that our teachers had to engage students, this is just one example, and there were several different ways that we engaged students. I thought this one fit in nicely. This is a teacher at Cardinal Carter, Miss Geraldine O'Brien, who was working on a guest speaker, and this particular guest speaker was Ray John, who's a member of the Oneida Nation of the Thames. He was speaking to her class. It was a civics class with a focus from an Indigenous perspective on civics. I'll tell you that we couldn't run summer school without the back-end support. I'd like to thank all of our summer school administrators, our teachers, Principal Korsting, his teaching staff, who influenced the academic achievements of our students. But our unsung heroes of summer school are those on the screen before you who move mountains behind the scenes in order to ensure our overall success. Special thanks to Maria Truant, our manager of student information, and her team, Teresa Fester, our summer school clerical support, Michelle Finley, our e-learning register, Paul Haggard, our Google communication support expert, and Michelle Park was our university co-op student who assisted us throughout the summer school process. Collectively, none of what I have shared is possible without the efforts of these individuals. And we look forward to the summer of 2022 with a renewed sense of hope for the potential of the return to in-person learning. And until then, may the sunshine warm upon your face. And that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding summer school and Focus on Youth.
Thank you. Thank you, Executive Superintendent John Ulichny. That was a very detailed presentation, and there were some very, very, great statistics and information in there, especially the 97% that were able to achieve success of those who participated. So thank you very, very much. Trustees, do we have any questions for Executive Superintendent Ulichny regarding either the summer school or the Focus on Youth summer program? Trustee Heath.
I have a question for John Ulichny. John, you use the acronym SWIS. Remind me what that stands for.
Sure, Trustee Heath, through you, Chair Valentinas. Swiss workers, those are settlement workers in schools. And we have those in all of our ESL schools, and they assist us with interpretation, and they assist the families and the students in getting oriented in the Windsor, Essex community. So they're very, very valuable to us.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Executive?
I just have a comment, Chair Valentinas.
Please, Trustee Domena.
I'm just really impressed with the retention rate and the success rate for the high school, for the summer school. That staff must have really made it interesting for those teenagers to stick it out and get these credits. I'm very, very impressed with that retention rate.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Again, thank you once again, Executive Superintendent Ulichny. We're going to require a motion then regarding the focus on youth summer program. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Trustee Domena, support by?
I'll support Bouchard.
Thank you, Trustee Bouchard. That the 2021 Focus on Youth Summer Program report be received as information. All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Moving on to item 10B4, which is the trustee attendance report. Glad to see most people showed up whenever called upon. So again, thank you for your commitment. Are there any questions? Well, let's get a mover and a seconder first of all. Moved by?
I move, Heath.
Trustee Heath says she moves it. Is there a seconder?
Trustee DiTomaso.
Trustee DiTomaso, that the board received the report on trustee attendance for January to August of 2021 as information. Questions, comments? All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have the 2020-2021 third interim financial variance report. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Polifroni, support by Trustee Bouchard, that the 2020-2021 third interim financial variance report be received as information. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chair Valentinas. Executive Superintendent Penny King, please.
Thank you, Madam Director. Trustees, in the report before you this evening, the board is forecasting an in-year surplus of $1.97 million at year end. Overall, this report does show a more favorable result than the last one you were presented with, and there's a few reasons for that. Enrollment is up since the last report you saw, and there's also some expenditure savings that resulted from the school closures, such as reduced expenditures for our temporary custodial cleaners and student transportation. On page 20 of your agenda package, we've put in a summary of forecast COVID-19 revenues and expenses. And if you look in that last column, you can see that we're forecasting $7 million of COVID funding and $7.4 million of COVID costs, resulting in approximately $379,000 of COVID expenses that are unfunded in 2020-21. We have further explanations of the financial results in Appendix A, which is on page 32 of your agenda package. An enrollment summary is provided in Appendix B and a staffing summary in Appendix C. And similar to previous reports, we have detailed schedules of revenues and expenses in Appendices D and E. And we do have in the report detailed explanations of expenditure variances. The results in this report are for the third quarter of the fiscal year, and we will produce for you a final report in November based on the full year's actual 12-month activity. At this time, we're prepared to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Executive Superintendent King. Questions regarding the variance report as presented? Questions, comments?
Mr. Chair.
Please, Vice Chair Soulier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just with regard to the projected surplus at this point, and the comment that we did save some money with regard to cleaning, excess cleaning, and other COVID-related expenses. Just having, started the school year off and started to have some meetings with regard to special education in particular, where everyone's very excited about the increase in our enrollment numbers and so on. But a lot of students appearing who need extra help. A lot of students who have been put on hold over the pandemic as well that could have or are waiting for psychological assessments so that their individual learning needs can be properly identified and they can meet the curriculum expectations and participate to the fullest in their educational goals, as well as all of the additional mental health issues that we're concerned about in the community with regard to our kids and how they've been impacted socially and otherwise over the pandemic. I'm just wondering, with regard to that surplus funding, if we have some room in there to start looking at trying to make some real progress in getting some of those assessments done, assigning some money, and looking at a way to get the work done, whether it's by looking at spending some money on contract type of assessments that perhaps we could look at, or additional staffing, as well as looking at our mental health needs for our kids and for looking at what parents need to support their kids. So I just put that out there for administration as something to consider. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on it tonight, but I think that we should be looking at what we need to do now that we're hopefully coming out of this so that we can better support our students and ensure that they're all ready to learn. We have, excellent breakfast programs in place and nutrition programs where we acknowledge that it's really important to meet the basic needs of our kids so that they can learn when they're in school. So I guess I'm looking at, mental health and those assessments also as being a basic need, that we need to get a handle on that so that our kids can really flourish when they're in our schools. So a comment, a question for perhaps another day, but I put that out there for you at this point anyways. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Soulier. Anyone want to comment, add anything?
Chair Valentinus, just a comment back to Vice Chair Soulier. Well, senior admin team will take the comments and suggestions back to our senior team, and we'll revisit some of those needs in the mental health area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Most appreciated. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Vice Chair Soulier, for bringing that forward. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on, then we have the 2020-2021 fourth quarter procurement report. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that.
I'll move it, Demena.
Trustee Demena moves it. Support.
I'll second it, Heath.
Trustee Heath, thank you. That the 2020-2021 fourth quarter procurement report be received as information. Madam Chair?
Thank you, Chair Valentinus. Executive Superintendent King, please.
Thank you, Director
Madam Director, not Madam Chair. Okay.
Thank you, Director Burney. The board's purchasing policy requires all procurements over $500,000 be approved by the Board of Trustees with a quarterly report provided to trustees for information for all procurements accepted with a value in excess of $100,000. And the report before you tonight provides the fourth quarterly report for the 2020-21 fiscal year. In there, we have 20 procurements that met the criteria. They're listed in the appendix. And the first quarterly report for the 2021-22 fiscal year will be for September 1 to November 30th, and we will present that to you in December.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Question, Trustee Demena.
Plus, thank you, Trustee Demena.
I just wondered if these projects are ongoing right now, or if they still have, or are they finished, or are they haven't started yet?
Trustee Demena, through you, Chair Valentinez. So Executive Superintendent King or Senior Manager Gary McKenzie, please. Thank you, Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you, Trustee Demena, through you, Mr. Chair, excuse me. Trustee Demena, the projects are in various states. Some are completed, some have started, and some are almost completed. It speaks a lot to the presentation I did a little while ago for you in terms of the updates on projects. It simply means, I believe, and Superintendent, certainly Executive Superintendent King can correct me, but that the projects have been awarded and that the purchase orders have been issued for these projects. And as I look through them, I certainly know some of them are not completed, but they're well underway. Certainly, Trustee DiTomaso asked a question earlier about a project, and it was the St. Joseph's project, and that project is not completed, but it's on here. I know that for sure. So projects are in various states, to answer your question.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Besides being in charge of overlooking, supervising, and guiding along the construction of a new high school, it's amazing the work that is done, the number of projects that have to be, monitored, overlooked, and move forward. So our compliments and thanks to you and your staff in that regard. Next, under item 10B7 is the status of the 5-year policy plan review. I'll need a mover and a seconder to deal with that. Moved by Trustee Soulier, support Trustee DiTomaso. That the board receive for information the status of the 5-year policy review plan 2021. Questions, comments, all in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you, Madam Director.
Superintendent Norris, if you wish to comment on that, please.
Thank you, Director Burney, and through you, Chair Valentinez. Trustees, as you may recall, in 2018, we presented to you a plan for tracking our policy development and a means of reporting annually to you. So this report to you is the annual report for 2020-21 as part of that 5-year plan that was commenced in 2018. Attached to the report, those section A are those policies that have been approved or were approved this past year in 2020-2021. Section B are those policies that still remain outstanding and are continue to be reviewed. What we've done is these policies have been broken up amongst departments and those relevant to each department. And they are at this point in various stages of policy development. We have some where committees are being formed and they are being reviewed by the various departments. Section C of the report is detailed. We usually report to you any new policy developments that are on the horizon for the upcoming year. Right now, there are none, but that is always subject to change, as I know all of you know, when the ministry decides that they're sending out another policy direction. So that may change, but the policy plan, we're going to share it with our principals. We're always asking for consultation. Are there any policies that need to be brought forward? It is presented to you as a report on the status of policy development at this time. I am available to respond to any questions you might have on the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding the 5-year policy review? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to sub-item 8, the report on the menstrual hygiene product accessibility. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that.
I'll move it, Kim Bouchard. Sorry.
Trustee Bouchard, absolutely. Seconded by?
Support, Demena.
Trustee Domena, that the board receive for information the implementation strategy for the installation of dispensers and a continual provision of menstrual hygiene products at no cost to students in designated washrooms in every elementary and secondary school. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that carries. Director Burney, anything you want to add or any questions or clarification?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Valentinus. I'm sure Trustee Bouchard and Student Trustee Jada Malott are looking forward to the implementation strategy of this initiative.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions on this? It's not, oh, student.
I have a question.
No, you're not a student trustee, but Trustee Bouchard, you have the floor.
Oh, Bouchard.
I was just going to thank you for this information, and that I appreciate the time and the efforts being spent on this initiative, especially during this very, very busy time. I understand there are many things going on, so I appreciate it. And I, along with Student Trustee Malott, I'm sure we are both really looking forward to hearing when that begins, the installations, that is. Thank you.
Thank you. Other trustees?
I had a comment, Chair.
Trustee Heath?
A question, really. $200 for, I was surprised at the cost of these dispensers. And I mean, what is that? Is that including installation and content? That seemed like a really exorbitant price. Am I right? $200?
Trustee Heath, through you, Chair Valentinus, Senior Manager Gary McKenzie, any comment on the cost?
Thank you, Madam Director, and through you, Trustee Valentinus, to Trustee Heath. That's the initial costs that we got when we went out to some of our suppliers. As I'm sure, again, I continue to say this in our meetings, and I truly mean it. Prices on everything are off the scale in terms of cost. As well, supply is very low on everything, so that even drives the prices up farther. Metal prices, everything is extremely high right now. It doesn't seem to matter what we take on for a project. We go to our architects, our engineers, we get pricing, and the prices usually come in so much higher. So these were our initial prices that we received, and I think it's a good benchmark to start with. If we get better pricing, then good for us. If not, then we'll still roll ahead.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments?
Very quick, Mr. Chair. I just have a comment I'd like to make.
Please, Student Trustee Malott. Absolutely.
Thank you. I just want to thank senior administration for their work on this, and I'd also like to thank Trustee Bouchard for always having my back on this as well. On behalf of the entire student body, we are so excited to see this implemented by the end of this year. I'm just ecstatic. As a woman who has a sister who is growing up, I am so excited to have her be able to, get into her senior years in grade school and go into high school and see that in the bathroom. So excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to you and Trustee Bouchard for bringing this forward. Excellent presentation. And thank you to the board. I don't know if you noticed, but the Toronto District School Board is lobbying the province to basically implement this, but they want the province to pay for it. In other words, they're not doing it unless the province comes up with the money at this point. So I think it speaks to our commitment to our students and the leadership shown by bringing this initiative forward, that we're not waiting for that. We're moving forward on it because it is important. And thanks to everyone involved. Thank you. Sub-item 9, strategic directions and system priorities for senior administration. Director Burney.
Oh, did you need to take a motion or a seconder for that?
Well, you know what? Let's do the motion. I need a mover and a seconder.
I move, Heath.
Trustee Heath says I'm going to move the motion. Support? Trustee Bouchard is supporting that one. Okay. That the board receive the strategic directions and system priorities for senior administration 2021-2022 as information, and that it be used in the evaluation of the Director of Education's performance management process as outlined in Board Policy H20, Performance Management Director of Education. Director Burney, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Chair Valentine.
Wait. Let's make sure we got the votes here. All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Director Burney?
Thank you, Chair Valentinus. So our senior team met in July and August to streamline our strategic directions and system priorities. I believe the format is succinct and continues to embrace our vision statement of building communities of faith, hope, and service while keeping with the virtues of our Catholic faith, to know every student, to inspire them to follow the example of Jesus, and to empower them with the knowledge and skills they need to live purposeful and meaningful lives. Following our multi-strategic plan, our 5 system priorities are as follows: our students, our faith, our team, our resources, and our community. Our return to school plan, with all of its health and safety measures and protocols, has been a real focus for all of us, our senior admin team, our administrators, as well as our trustees, students, staff, and parents. So as we continue this school year, we are committed to the mental health and well-being of our staff and students, as well as the re-engagement and intervention strategies set out for our K-12 plus learners in the area of student achievement. We will continue to work as a team and will continue to strive to do our best.
Thank you. Questions, comments regarding the strategic direction system priorities? If not,
yes. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair Soulier.
Sorry. Yes, so just looking at page 51 under our students and the second bullet point, to continue to improve all initiatives relative to student mental health and well-being as critical supports to student achievement in partnership with families and community agencies. So just wanting to kind of focus on that one a little bit in commenting with regard to our dependence on community agencies and the reality that Windsor Essex has a real lack of mental health supports for adults as well as for children. And I think that it's critical for us to look at what we should be doing as a school system to try and ensure that students are getting what they need in a school context with regard to mental health supports, so that those community resources that are out there are better able to manage the students that need those services. Hopefully, if we can do a good job within our schools, it will minimize the number of students that need to access higher level mental health supports. So just wanting to throw that out there again. I know I've been a little bit on a theme tonight, but again, I think it's really important for administration to take some time to consider that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Soulier. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, thank you. Moving on, next we have the preliminary enrollment staffing school organization information for elementary and secondary schools for September 2021. I'll need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Polifroni. Support?
I'll second Bouchard.
Trustee Bouchard, that the board receive for information the preliminary enrollment staffing school organization information for elementary and secondary schools for September 2021. Questions, comments, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed to that? Thank you. Madam Director?
Thank you, Chair Valentinus. I will ask Superintendent Norris to begin with elementary staffing and then Superintendent Ibrahim for secondary staffing.
Thank you, Director Burney, and through you, Chair Valentinus. On the elementary enrollment side, we currently have 13,105 elementary students attending in our schools. which is good news for us. I can tell you when we were budgeting and forecasting in April this past year with COVID, and we did have some families, particularly in the JKSK, with COVID, who had elected to kind of wait another year out of concerns. We were optimistic that this year would bring better and that we would see students and families more comfortable in returning. And I think we are seeing that. We're currently at 13,105. We take a look at where we were last year at this time. We're ahead 84 students. We tend historically to get growth throughout the school year. Last year, even with COVID, we had families who continue to immigrate into the Windsor area. Even with COVID, we grew about 80 students over the course of the school year. We anticipate at least that. So we've budgeted our forecast for 13,150. We're currently at 13,105. We are more than confident that we're going to hit our budget forecast and actually surpass that forecast. Ahead, the other thing we always take a look at is where are we with respect to our JKSK, those students that are coming in, because those students will tend to be with us over the course of their careers, and they start with us early. Our numbers are larger in both our JK and SK than they were at this time last year. The other good piece that we would like to report is right now we have 503 students, JK to 8, who have elected to learn virtually. When we compare that to the picture last year, I can tell you by about November last year, we had 3,600 students learning virtually. It's so nice to be able to see that our students are now much more comfortable returning in person. Our families are electing in-person learning. We have 12,602 students attending in person. And as I said, only 503 electing virtual and more comfortable with that mode of learning. With the elementary enrollment comes staffing. We did have a number of retirements over the past year. The good news story is we've hired about 60 elementary teachers from the beginning of the summer right through to just most recently in September. It is a great part of my job in HR to be able to offer employment to some of our occasional teachers who have provided such dedicated service for so many years, and we're now able to offer them permanent positions in our elementary unit. We have some new teachers as well that have been given an opportunity. We currently, with our staffing, under ministry regulation and staff enrollment and class size requirements, we must report to the ministry at a set date every school year. We will be reporting as of tomorrow, September 29th. We've done some reorganization of classes most recently to make sure that we are within those class size regulations. We've added some class sizes to make sure that all of our class sizes those caps are met. Currently, we've allocated 568 classroom teachers throughout our system, our 35 elementary schools. 20 of those teachers will be teaching virtually for those 500 students that have elected that mode of learning. Again, if you compare that to last year, we have 20 virtual classes this year. Last year, we had 154 teachers teaching in our virtual classes. At this time, we have 20 who are teaching virtually. 548 our teachers are face-to-face, in person with the students in their classrooms. So a good news story in that regard. That's essentially the preliminary elementary enrollment numbers that I can provide you up to this point. We will be providing you a complete report in October, and that will be broken down by school. And that's the elementary report, Director Burney, and I'd certainly be open to any questions on that.
Thank you, Executive Superintendent Norris. Are there any questions regarding the elementary schools report on enrollment and staffing? Great news. Great news. Thank you. Madam Director?
Yes, thank you, Chair Valentinez. At this time, Superintendent Ibrahim for secondary staffing, please.
Thank you, Director Burney. Through you, Chair Valentinez. When comparing enrollment for the same time period last year, we are equally pleased to see an increase in our secondary school enrollment. Our most recent data shows a nominal enrollment of 7,325 secondary students. This is an increase of 73 students when compared to the nominal enrollment of 7,252 students in September 2020. With the current level of enrollment and extrapolating from last year's data, we are confident that we have surpassed our budgeted prediction of an average daily enrollment of 7,000 by at least 150 students. Of the 7,325 students enrolled, 552 are learning virtually with their peers in our hybrid model. This increase in enrollment, combined with a number of teacher retirements over last year, resulted in our ability to hire 22 new teachers. So in this group, which included traditional academic subjects of math, science, and English, we were also able to hire specialists in technology, hospitality and tourism, construction and transportation technology, as well as computer science. And we anticipate that with these new teachers and our existing staff, we will continue to be able to provide quality programming, quality Catholic education for many years to come. So as we move through these next few weeks, we anticipate additional registrations, and we will, as Superintendent Norris indicated, we will provide a full report at the next board meeting. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Superintendent Abraham. Are there any questions regarding the secondary school enrollment staffing? Thank you. Once again, good news. Next, we have the report on the update of the COVID-19 immunization disclosure policy for the education sector. I'll need a mover and a seconder in that regard. Moved by
Mena.
Trustee DeMena moves it. Support? Trustee, I'm looking for support here for Trustee DeMena.
I'll support Bouchard.
Thank you, Trustee Bouchard. That the board receive information and update on the COVID-19 immunization disclosure policy for the education sector. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Director Burney.
Thank you, Chair Valentinez. This is a very positive report for our Catholic Board. 90.8% of our employees are fully vaccinated. We've taken a proactive approach since September the 7th. It's been a very measured and operational approach. We will continue to monitor as we move forward. And just a big thank you to our whole senior admin team, plus our principals in our schools, but most importantly, our HR department and our superintendents of HR. They've been working very diligently in the area of tracking the data and monitoring the data. As you will know, this is posted to our board website, and it's also provided to the Ministry of Education. So again, a very good news, positive report for our Catholic Board.
Thank you, Madam Director. Questions? Trustees, any questions regarding the disclosure policy? No questions, we'll move on. We're now at item number 11 on the agenda, which is the committee reports. And 11A is the audit committee minutes of the public meeting on November 20th, 2021. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by
Soulier.
Trustee DeMena, support. Trustee
DiTomaso.
Thank you. That the board receive for information the minutes of the audit committee public meeting of November 20th, 2021. Questions, comments, all in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Madam Director or Executive Superintendent King? Any comments on that?
Executive Superintendent King, it's just a report. Thank you.
Just a report. Okay, good. Moving on then, 11B is the Special Education Advisory Committee minutes of May 20th, 2021. Again, I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by
I move Heath.
Soulier. Support.
DiTomaso.
DiTomaso, that the board receive for information the minutes from the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting of May 20th, 2021. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. The next report is the Parent Involvement Committee minutes of the March 3rd, 2021 meeting. Moved by?
I'll move Bouchard.
Trustee Bouchard moves it. Support Trustee Soulier, that the board receive for information the Parent Involvement Committee meeting of March 3rd, 2021. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. That completes our reports. Unfinished business.
Oh, Chair, I think you missed, did you miss the Indigenous education? Item C?
Actually, we did that.
Oh, we already did that. Excuse me. You're right.
Presentation, we moved it up and we voted on it.
You
Yes.
got it.
Thank you. Okay. That was quite a bit of business we dealt with. So there is no unfinished business, but there is some new business. And 13A is a report with the COVID-19 resilience and school condition improvement projects, and here for approval of construction tenders. Again, I'll need a mover and a seconder. Moved by
DiTomaso.
DiTomaso. Support by Vice Chair Soulier, that the actions of administration be confirmed and ratified in the awards of tender and the issuance of purchase order contracts for school upgrades, including HVAC at St. James Catholic Elementary and Holy Names Catholic Secondary Schools in the amount of $642,560 plus HST to go to Volmer Inc. for school upgrades, for boiler, plumbing upgrades, and vestibule addition at Assumption Catholic Middle School in the amount of $969,205 plus HST. That one to go to Front Construction Industries. And for school upgrades on the HVAC and electrical at St. Andre French Immersion Catholic Elementary School in the amount of $795,812 plus HST to Sterling Ridge General Contracting, Inc. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Let the work begin. That carries. Thank you. Next, we have a report, request for proposal, RFP 2021-13, approval for roof replacements to the former St. Anne High School. I'll need a mover and a seconder.
Move Demena.
Support, moves it. Support by Trustee Demena, that approval be given to the award of project and the issuance of a purchase order contract for roof replacements at the former St. Anne High School in the amount of $1,280,420 plus HST to be given, awarded to Roth Roofing and Siding. Questions, comments? All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Next, we have a report regarding the draft amended policy IT01, acceptable use of information technology resources. Mover and a seconder.
Moved, Polifroni.
Trustee Polifroni, support by Trustee Heath. Thank you. That the board approve in principle the draft amended policy IT101, acceptable use of information technology resources. Questions, comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Are there any, that takes care of new business. Are there any notices of motion being brought forward this evening? Thank you. Moving on to remarks and announcements. First of all, I'd like to begin by saying that after receiving the report on enrollment and staffing, I'd like to thank the parents for entrusting your children to the board's care and for believing in our programs and our initiatives. The increased enrollment speaks to that. Your faith in educating your children through the Catholic system is very much appreciated. And also thank you to the staff and senior administration team for your ongoing efforts to bring forward another successful year. Despite all the challenges, thank you. Trustees will be participating in the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association regional meeting tomorrow, and questions both local and provincial were prepared in advance and will be discussed with other trustees. We're looking forward to sharing ideas, concerns, and challenges with our colleagues. And finally, one more thing. Congratulations to student trustee Jada Malat for representing the board as the Western Regional Representative for the Ontario Student Trustees Association's Executive Catholic Board Council. Now there's a mouthful. That's quite a title. Congratulations, Jada. We're proud and really appreciate your efforts. We wish you much success on this endeavor, and you know that you'll represent our board and your fellow students very aptly on this one. And finally, since we won't be meeting until after Thanksgiving, I wish all the staff and their families a relaxing and blessed day of Thanksgiving. Thank you to everyone. Madam Director, remarks, announcements.
Thank you, Chair Valentinas. So looking back on our successes, a virtual system-wide Together in Faith Day was held on September 2nd. It's always a wonderful day to gather and celebrate our faith. The format was a bit different than in the past, with the virtual prayer service and a faith-building presentation organized and provided virtually by each family of schools Together in Faith Day committee. And again, thank you to Superintendent Ibrahim for coordinating that. Looking ahead, as presented this evening, the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation is on September 30th. So don't forget to wear your orange shirts in recognition and support. As a new director, I've already started to visit our Catholic schools to introduce myself and become more familiar with staff and, of course, meet the students. This is definitely the part of my job that I love. October 5th is World Teachers Day. This day represents our awareness, understanding, and appreciation for the vital contribution teachers, educators make to the education and development of our children. Before we conclude our meeting tonight, I would like to share an inside look at how things have been going on in our Catholic schools since we reopened to students and staff on September the 7th. After being away from each other for so long and for so much of the last school year, it was wonderful to welcome everyone back into our Catholic schools for in-person learning. Our emphasis is all about rebuilding relationships with our students, our staff, and our communities. And as you'll see from this short video, our employees went above and beyond to re-engage our learners and reacquaint themselves to our colleagues. Thank you, Stephen.
Safe and we're gonna be okay, guys. No matter what we have to go through, we're gonna have fun. Super excited for this awesome school year. Let's go, Lasers.
Hi, Lasers. Positive message for the day today. Be grateful that we are all here together in person again.
So hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come. So my name is Jocelyn Adams. I'm 14 years old, and I'm a grade 10 student at St. Anne's High School.
I'm seeing all my friends in person again, and not VR. Seeing my friends because I was online for a bit. Seeing my friends in person. My favorite part of the Wildcat year is my teacher and my friends in my class. Math, reading, and math.
I'm Adrian.
Bonjour, I'm Diane, and today we have a positive message from our staff and students.
Wonderful that you're all here, and we're so glad to have you back in the building.
Feel happy.
I'm so excited.
I feel happy to be back.
I feel so ecstatic to be back.
I'm grateful to be teaching my students face-to-face again. I am so grateful to have all staff and students back together again, all under one roof.
So I certainly hope you've enjoyed this view into our Catholic schools to witness the re-engagement and rebuilding of relationships in our school communities. A big thank you to Paul DeMarco and Stephen Fields for coordinating the video clips from St. Anne's, Cardinal Carter, St. Joe's, Notre Dame, and La Saline. And I also like to wish everyone a happy and relaxing Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Director, and thank you for everyone for putting that video together. That really echoes what I've heard at the parent, council meetings this week that I've participated in. That how excited the students were and the teachers were to be back in school. Thank you once again. Father Larry, Board Chaplain.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Valentinas. This has been one of the longest meetings we've had in about 50 years. Anyway, but it's been very, very good. There's a couple of trustees, I think, who signed in at the beginning, but we haven't heard from them. Are they sleeping or watching the Blue Jay ball game? I suspect. I won't reveal who they are. But, anyway, quickly. Our beautiful Darlene had commented about the bishop's statement that came out on the weekend, and if has to do with this September 30th day reconciliation and moving forward. We just saw a beautiful thing about school rebuilding relationships. Well, I think this is what this whole document, and I'm certainly not going to read it to you, but if you want to read it, you can Google it. The Canadian bishops meet 4 times a year. In September, November, February, and then May as a body. So it's quite, it's quite interesting what comes out of those meetings from across Canada. Anyway, here's what they had to say in relation. We, the Catholic Bishops of Canada, gathered in plenary session this week, take this opportunity to affirm to you, the indigenous people of this land, that we acknowledge the suffering experienced in Canada's Indian residential schools. And we apologize. We acknowledge the grave abuses that were committed by some members of our Catholic community: physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, cultural, and sexual. So we, the Catholic Bishops of Canada, express our profound remorse and apologize unequivocally to the sad moment in history. This week, the Canadian Bishops' Conference said it is fully committed to the process of healing and reconciliation, rebuilding, for me, rebuilding relationships. Finally, there was, regarding the Pope, there's been a request made on behalf of a lot of people. Having heard the request to engage Pope Francis in this reconciliation process, a delegation of Indigenous survivors, elders, knowledge keepers, and youth will meet with the Holy Father in Rome in December 2021. Pope Francis will encounter and listen to the Indigenous participants so as to discern how he can support our common desire to renew relationships and to walk together along the path of hope and reconciliation in the coming years. And then finally, we commit ourselves, to commit ourselves to accompanying you, First Nations, Métis, Inuit peoples of our country, standing in respect of your resiliency, your strength, your wisdom. We look forward to listening. I think that's a key word. We look forward to listening to and learning from you as we walk in solidarity. It's a powerful statement, and now it's words, but let's hope words will be backed by action, and I'm sure it will. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Father Larry. Trustee Alexander. Questions, remarks? Okay, we'll come back to Trustee Alexander if he's there. Trustee Bouchard.
Yeah, I just wanted to wish everybody a lovely and safe Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you, Trustee Bouchard. Trustee Mastromatei.
Yes, I got an unexpected phone call yesterday around 4:30 in the afternoon. First I thought it made my day. Then I thought it made my week. Now I'm thinking it made my year. So I would like Mr. McKenzie, who made the call, along with the director, to share the news that they shared with me yesterday. Mr. McKenzie, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Trustee Mastromatei. Director Bernie and I informed Trustee Mastromatei that we had just hired 7 folks from community living to work in our schools as temporary cleaners, and that they were doing outstanding work in our buildings, and that we were very pleased to have them on board. Thank you.
It's something that I started way back 11 years ago, and I'm just so glad that we're finally doing it. We're community living, higher functionally intellectually challenged adults are working throughout our community. And we, as a Catholic board, have stepped up and hired them. And I am so, so appreciative of administration for following that up. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Mastromatei and Mr. McKenzie and everyone involved. Great, great initiative and great news, truly. Trustee Polifroni.
I want to congratulate all the award recipients tonight. Also, student trustee Jada Malott. Also, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Polifroni. Trustee Heath.
I would just also like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Mask up, stay safe.
Thank you, Trustee Heath. Trustee DeMena.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving also.
Thank you, Trustee DeMena. Trustee DiTomaso. Trustee DiTomaso, your mic is off, or?
Oh,
here we are.
I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a safe one.
Thank you, Trustee DiTomaso. Vice Chair Soulier.
Happy Thanksgiving to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Student Trustee Malott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd first like to congratulate all of the recipients of the awards tonight. Many of them are my personal friends, so it's always a wonderful surprise to see them on my screen. I texted a couple of them and told them congratulations. So to everyone else, congratulations to all of you. Gina has our Student Senate report for this month, so I'll let her take that away. But everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you have any leftovers, you can ship them over to my house. Can't wait for that Thanksgiving dinner. If you've got any leftovers, I will gladly take them from you, empty your fridge out for you. Have a wonderful, safe, socially distanced, virtual Thanksgiving if you must. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you, student trustee Malat. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Student trustee Tuma, Gina.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have our Student Center report for this month. Last week on September 21st, we had our first Student Senate meeting where we had the opportunity to meet all the executive members of our board's student councils. As an introductory activity, we had a conversation about leadership and what it meant to everyone. Each member of the Senate shared what 2 words they think are the most important qualities that make up a good leader. We heard words like faith, open-mindedness, initiative, and respect. Just from this, Jada and I know that we have a great group of leaders this year and are so excited to work with our Senate on initiatives throughout the school year. In regards to our annual Student Senate Faith Day, we are going to be possibly holding off until the new year in hopes that we will be cleared to have an in-person event. That is everything I have, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Tuma. Anyone else want to add anything? Okay, thank you. There are no pending items. In terms of the future regular board meetings, the next public board meeting will be Tuesday, October the 26th. There is no need to adjourn in camera this evening. We already dealt with that. So, Father Larry, if you can close this meeting with a prayer.
Happily. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know when we say Happy Thanksgiving, this is the priest that's coming out of me. We thank God for all this good news that we heard tonight and all the good things. We're so grateful. We need to thank God. We need to praise God. And we also need to thank each other, as was so evident tonight, as you all affirmed the goodness in each other, the gifts, and the good work being done. So it's really inspiring. It's very inspiring to hear you speak the way you do. Loving God, you understand the pain of loss. Grant eternal rest to those who have died. The father-in-law of Melissa Farron, the mother of Robbie Lynn Schreindler, the mother of Christine Thubby, and the father of Anita Whitall. And grant comfort also to those who grieve the loss of loved ones. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. May God's blessing of peace come upon all of you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. This meeting is adjourned.